Hi everyone, I'm Anne Rayner. I'm the leader of Productivity Bargain, a change management consultancy to help companies move to a shorter work week and create more productive and happier workplaces. And I'm joined here by Steve Gardner. Hi Steve, great to see you. How are you doing?
Hello, Anne. Very well, thank you.
I'm going to ask you to put your CFO hat back
Yeah.
on, or I'm going to remind you of
Yeah.
what you said to me when we caught up for a drink. Does the CFO hat ever come off?
Unfortunately not. Old habits.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the first questions you asked me when we caught up a couple of weeks ago was, if we can increase productivity, why do we need to give the time back? Why not just increase productivity and the business takes the gains, which is spoken like a true CFO.
Yes.
And I think it is important to address that because it is actually a common question that comes up.
I think this is part of the bargain, isn't it, between the management and the staff? Because some cynical management might say, well, if you can be intense for 4 days, then why can't you be that intense for 5 days? And I think you raise the problems of burnout and all the other work-life balance and so on. But you need that bargain to be struck. So I think there needs to be, when you come to the table with this, there needs to be an acceptance from both sides that the staff are going to work intensely, different ways of working for those 4 days than they had on a 5-day week. And on the flip side, management have to accept that intensity can't last for 5 days. Because if you haven't got that agreement, then I don't think this would work. The other question, I suppose, is we talked about productivity, but what about numbers of staff as well? That part of the bargain has to be that you retain staff levels and don't sort of say, okay, well, if these people can do this in 4 days, why do I need this number of staff? That would be another. So it's productivity, but it's also obviously the salary bills as well would need to be would be raised. Most CFOs would raise that as an issue.
Yeah, and I think then there needs to be a really honest conversation about cost out versus opportunity. I was talking with a business leader who had moved his business to a shorter work week, and one of the things that they did was they said, we'll quarantine 2 hours every morning and 2 hours every afternoon to do deep work, because I think that's a real challenge in agency world where a lot of businesses, you're running faster. Creating time to do better work and to do great work is a real challenge. And they managed to do that as part of their shift to a shorter work week. They really seriously quarantined those 4 hours a day. So as a CFO then, if I said to you, well, what would be the growth opportunities if your senior staff were able to create 16 hours a week of time to work on the business and in the business with clients? Imagine the growth opportunity that could create. It would be a bit of a different conversation, wouldn't it?
It would, definitely, yeah. I guess my question about this quarantining this time is, that's great, but what the real world gets in the way. And what happens when you've got client demands, you've got staff issues to sort out, there's a productivity problem, there's a crisis of some sort. Can the business, I don't know, the business you talk to, can they still maintain these sort of red zones during the day with real world happening around them? I don't know. How would they address that?
So I'm sure it's not 100% perfect, and sometimes there would be flex that needs to happen, but I think there's a couple of things that they did. One is it's cultural change across the whole business. It's not one person saying, sorry, you can't talk to me for these hours. It's everybody buying into the idea that we want to do better work. And to do better work, we need this focus time. So we will all respect that focus time. And then there are other times when it's agreed that this is our meeting time and this is our, you can pop in and we'll solve something together and those type of things. I think the other thing that's really interesting that this leader said actually is, by doing that focus time and by being really, he talked about it as the productivity muscle, by strengthening your productivity muscle and really always thinking, how can I do this better? Their work became better. So the clients were happier, the work was sharper, it took them less time and fewer slides to deliver the the work that they were doing. And so I suspect, I don't know this from that particular example, but I think what they ended up finding was there probably were fewer crises where clients demanded something instantly because they had created better work and put in the time to build those relationships with clients, so they had a much stronger and better planned and tighter ship that allowed them to then keep those focus hours.
So in a way, heading off crises before they become crises. So
Totally, which is best practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you say to a CFO or a CEO sitting in your shoes when someone in their business proposes piloting a shorter work week as a way to address some strategic challenge of the business?
I think, try productivity bargain. I mean, it really could be a game changer.
I love it. Steve, thank you so much for your time. It's been so lovely chatting, as always.
Yep.
And will be so valuable for others to hear how your CFO perspective and your advice for them can help them move to a shorter work week and more sustainable work practices. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome.